Take a look at these first couple of potatoes. You notice some similarity between them?
Guten gardening, everybody. Well, today I'm out here to harvest the last of our 4 gray bins of potatoes. Now we do have 4 bins, and 3 of them we harvested earlier this season, and we had 3 different varieties of fingerling potatoes, some rose fin, some Russian banana, and then some Guten gardening French fingerling potatoes. And we wanted to do a little comparison to see how well they performed. And spoiler alert, it was a great harvest. If you haven't watched that video, you should definitely check it out.
Now, as far as this gray bin goes, I got it when they were getting rid of it at my work. They were broken a little bit, you can see that, but it's a really thick, heavy-duty plastic. It's considered to be a food-safe plastic, and it's about 17 inches deep. I've grown in here the last couple of seasons, and I can tell you, as far as the plants go, you can see most of it has died back. You still see a little bit of life on a couple of them, but I got about a half a dozen plants in here, so it'll be interesting to see what exactly we ended up with as far as results go. You can see I have some hay on top here. That was to keep the moisture in. So first thing I'm going to do is remove all the hay from here so we can actually see what's going on. And then I'm going to take the plant as it's attached and give it a little pull just to check. Oh, look at this. What are you doing, critter? And then I'm going to get down in here and I'm just going to feel around a little bit, and I can tell you already I'm feeling, well, let me get you closer. And here is our first potato, and I'm going to move over and get our second potato as well. And you can see size-wise, we're in pretty good shape right here. Now, again, I don't know what to expect fully from these potatoes, so I'm just gonna go. Oh, you see how deep we're looking right now? I just pulled this out and we're a good 7 or so inches deep. One thing I did with these potatoes is I planted them nice and deep. Now, this is really, really interesting to me. Take a look at these first couple of potatoes. You notice some similarity between them. They all have this crease or this indentation in them. I don't think I've ever seen 3 potatoes get pulled up that looked almost exactly the same. And as I go down, I'm a good 8 or 9 inches down in here as I'm pulling these out. And almost every single one has that same characteristic. Now, what on earth would cause potatoes to be in that shape, in that form? I don't know the answer to that question, and I would love to hear from our community if you know something I don't. So let's move over to the second plant. I can feel the size on here. There's the mother, the seed potato. You can see what's left of it. Take a look at that. These aren't massive. I can feel some other ones on there, but that was a full potato plant. Every single one of them was, I mean, about the same size, but that, I think that was loaded. And as I move around in here, oh, one of our viewers described this feeling when you grab the squishiness of what's left over of that seed potato as something pretty gross. Yeah, it's a different kind of feeling. There's the rest of it. It's squishy and squishy and gooey.
All right, at this point in the harvest, you can already kind of tell that we're probably not going to get anything massive out of here, but this whole potato shaped the way those potatoes are shaped is got me so curious. I mean, this is a characteristic that seems to be pretty consistent through a lot of these potatoes. And I'm saying to myself, what on earth is causing this? What is making this happen? If you have an idea, let us know in the comments.
That plant was loaded down with smaller potatoes. This is the third plant. Get right down underneath here and pop them up. Again, all about the same size down in here. That smaller size. So interesting for me to see this. Oh, there's one I almost missed. And all of them about the same size. This is so interesting. This harvest is really unlike what I expected in so many ways. You know, one thing you're going to notice about this, and I said I stopped watering, you see it's kind of dry in here, and that's to be expected, but I kind of anticipated a little bit bigger size from some of these potatoes, even though, as I mentioned earlier in the video, These were older seed potatoes, and I still can't get over the fact that they all have this, well, not all of them, but most of them have that same shape oddity, shape characteristic, shape trait. This, again, unlike what I expect, unlike really anything I have seen. All right, back at it here, and we're on to our next one. One thing about these containers, and these containers are 17 inches deep, the soil itself is pretty easy to work through. So it's not exactly a difficult harvest. It's just, I think for this one, oh, there we go, that's a little bit bigger one. I would expect, you know, potatoes along this size a little bit more consistently. I'm wondering if, you know, we're a couple weeks after I started harvesting potatoes. I started these a little bit later, and they didn't have the benefit of my being around, especially once they were just starting to pop through, once that green was happening, when I'd really be consistently watering, etc. They didn't have that. Their timing was a little bit off in comparison to a lot of my other potatoes. So I'm wondering if that also played some kind of role in the size. That, and of course, as I said, they're not the same high quality seed potatoes as a lot of the others that I planted this season, as they were older. They had already well, I'd say they had probably, if I'm guessing, maybe 6 or 8 inches of growth in terms of sprouting whenever I went ahead and got them planted. But that being said, there's still some pretty decent ones in here, and we're getting a large enough number out of this container to let me know it's not the end of the world. And as I've mentioned already in this video, I mean, our earlier harvests have been absolutely fantastic. So it's not like we're hurting for potatoes at all this season. Our last potato plant right here, as I said, I got about a half a dozen in there. And this is what I'm getting out of here, these little baby potatoes on this last one. Let's see if there's anything of any size much at all down in here. Not really, but again, they're all in good shape. They're all perfectly edible, and I would imagine they're gonna be pretty tasty.
No, I've definitely said this before, but when it comes to growing potatoes, obviously we have a large variety of potatoes that we grow, and we don't grow all of our potatoes in the same place, in the same way, because if one thing doesn't perform all that well, we wanna have backups. And we've definitely had plenty of potatoes already this season, some of which you haven't even seen likely. So this wasn't a great harvest, but it was a curious harvest. And I hope it's got your brain working a little bit to try to help us out.
Well, that's the sum total of this harvest, probably just a couple of pounds here. But again, this harvest has got me wondering what on earth could create this kind of consistent potato shape. What on earth did I just harvest? If you have ideas, let me know in the comments. Hey, we hope you enjoyed this quick potato harvest video, and if you did, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.